Today is Transit Equity Day. It's a day that's recognized across the country to recognize how important public transportation is to a lot of the people in our communities, and that it's important to also support the people in our communities who rely on public transportation to get around. Today is also Rosa Parks' birthday, so this is a very important Transit Equity Day because of the inequities that were experienced on the public transportation systems in Montgomery, Alabama. It's a rainy day today. A lot of people who are trying to get to work are having to stand out in the rain waiting for a bus that might come 10 or 15 minutes later, may come a little early and might disrupt their whole day. We need to make sure that people can get around safely. Having relied on public transportation myself for several years, having given up my car and commuting all the way up to Forsyth County from right here in Mechanicsville, I've seen the daily realities of so many of my neighbors, of my constituents, and I want to make sure that I could take that history, that legacy, as an inspiration to make sure we get better policy for everyone across the city of Atlanta.
We're here because once again Atlanta is making history. We have opened up Unity Place, the first in the nation, one-of-a-kind housing for police recruits. So that's why we are here now. We are giving our recruits some place to stay, actually in one of our most vibrant communities. As we talk about community policing, we must give the officer a chance and opportunity to get to know the community. Once you're on call, once you're working, you really don't have that opportunity. But here now, at the beginning of their training, they have an opportunity to actually live amongst the neighbors, to actually live amongst the people that they will actually be protecting. So this is why it is very important. They're very excited about having the police officers in their neighborhood. First and foremost, it gives them a sense of security. And then once again, it also gives the neighborhood an opportunity to get to know the officer, because it goes both ways. The neighborhood has to know the officer as well as the officer knowing the neighborhoods. This is a catalyst. With everything, even with America being pioneers, we have shown and proven that this can work and will work. So now it gives other people the possibility to actually go off and do something different. Don't stop with the police. Don't stop with the police. We have firemen, we have teachers, we have public safety workers, public workers. So let's start this and let this be the catalyst for us moving forward, doing other great things throughout the city such as this.
Today is Rosa Parks' Day. It's the anniversary of her birthday, and her action was about making sure that transit was available for everybody. It was about desegregating buses so that everybody could ride. And so I think that it's a great reminder as Transit Equity Day that transit is really about access. It's about making sure that people can get to jobs, can get to work, can get to school. And so her legacy is one that's not only about desegregation, but it's also about economic access. There's this incredible 1950s bus behind me, similar to the one that Rosa Parks sat down and wouldn't move on. She was an inspiration that individual people can make a difference, that individual people as part of a whole can really change America. Public transit is really the backbone of making sure that our economy can grow. Whether it's bus or it's rail, it's really the way that we are able to move our lives. And so I think the vision for equity in transit is making sure transit's everywhere, making sure it's affordable, making sure that it goes to the places that we need it to go.
What this day means to me. Everything. I get to build on my family's legacy. My family came here with nothing, and the first time I ran, my father asked me why I was doing this to myself. This is something I've been working towards for years, representing my community, and I never thought I would get to be able to do that with my whole self. So it's still I'm just so excited. I'm so looking forward to learning from the people that have been here before us, that are currently on council, the veterans that have already been so helpful in helping us navigate who to talk to, the commissioners to get to know, how to pass and draft legislation, all of these pieces on how to just function and be our best selves on council. I think the thing I am most excited about is that we are going to get to lead under a mayor that truly understands the complexities of these issues, that has so much energy, and that wants to work with council and help us function and stop talking about the problems that we know that we have and actually turn that into action.
This stretch of land along the Chattahoochee River is the former site of the Chattahoochee Brick Company. The factory that occupied this space manufactured bricks that were used to rebuild the city of Atlanta following the Civil War. Conditions here were anything but favorable, as convicts, predominantly black men arrested for small crimes or no crimes, were forced to work there. They were often beaten into submission and subject to other horrible types of treatment. Many lost their lives on this land. Some were reportedly buried here. Local activists have advocated turning the site into a memorial as opposed to any further industrial development. The City of Atlanta recently filed a petition to stop Norfolk Southern's plans to build a fuel terminal here. In a recent statement, officials with Norfolk Southern announced it would abandon those plans. I'm Councilmember DUSTIN HILLIS. This site is in my district. I stand with our nearby neighborhoods, historic preservationists, and environmental advocates who have been tireless in their efforts to fight this development. Our work is not done. We can't rest until this important piece of land is in the city's possession. I will continue to have conversations with my colleagues and the administration on the best way to ensure that happens expeditiously. The legacy lives.
I'm just thankful that the people of Atlanta have given me an opportunity to do work on behalf of the city. I'm looking forward to working with my new colleagues. Some of them have been friends of mine for a long time. Some of them are people who I've just met in the last few weeks, and I look forward to doing wonderful things on behalf of the city of Atlanta. You know, I'm been an advocate and an organizer fighting for communities on one side of you know this kind of conversation, but I recognize that there are a lot of systems, a lot of processes, a lot of just knowledge that I have not been privy to, that I look forward to being able to learn about, the histories, the ideas, just the stories that really have made the city what it is. And I look forward to learning from people who've been here for years or for decades in some cases. And I think it's important to help bridge the gap between the old and the new, the past and the future. We have to have positive relationships and even potentially friendships to move our city forward.
I am very much looking forward to working with the experienced members on council. I've also reached out to several predecessors of mine in the role of Atlanta City Council President for advice as well, and so I'm looking forward to learning. I think this job is very much about learning about the city, learning about what residents need and what they want, and the ways in which we can help. And so I'm very excited to learn from all facets of council and the city in order to try to do a great job in this role. You know, I think today really marks a crossroads for Atlanta and a chance to collaborate on really big things. The mayor-elect, the council, we have a lot of things to do, but I think the spirit in which we come at today is one of working together, of building bridges. I think that's what folks are looking for, and I'm excited to work in that way going forward.
Today is Transit Equity Day. It's a day that's recognized across the country to recognize how important public transportation is to allow the people in our communities, and that it's important to also support the people in our communities who rely on public transportation to get around. Today is also Rosa Parks' birthday, so this is a very important Transit Equity Day because of the inequities that were experienced on the public transportation systems in Montgomery, Alabama. It's a rainy day today. A lot of people who are trying to get to work are having to stand out in the rain waiting for a bus that might come 10 or 15 minutes later, may come a little early and might disrupt their whole day. We need to make sure that people can get around safely. Having relied on public transportation myself for several years, having given up my car and commuting all the way up to Forsyth County from right here in Mechanicsville, I've seen the daily realities of so many of my neighbors, of my constituents, and I want to make sure that I could take that history, that legacy, as an inspiration to make sure we get better policy for everyone across the city of Atlanta.
3.
We're here because once again, Atlanta is making history. We have opened up Unity Place, the first in the nation, one-of-a-kind housing for police recruits. So that's why we are here now. We are giving our recruits some place to stay, actually in one of our most vibrant communities. As we talk about community policing, we must give the officer a chance and opportunity to get to know the community. Once you're on call, once you're working, you really don't have that opportunity. But here now, at the beginning of their training, they have an opportunity to actually live amongst the neighbors, to actually live amongst the people that they will actually be protecting. So this is why it is very important. They're very excited about having the police officers in their neighborhood. First and foremost, it gives them a sense of security. And then once again, it also gives the neighborhood an opportunity to get to know the officer, because it goes both ways. The neighborhood has to know the officer as well as the officer knowing the neighborhoods. This is a catalyst with everything, even with America being pioneers. We have shown and proven that this can work and will work. So now it gives other people the possibility to actually go off and do something different. Don't stop with the police. Don't stop with the police. We have firemen, we have teachers, we have public safety workers, public workers. So let's start this and let this be the catalyst for us moving forward, doing other great things throughout the city such as this.
For today's upcoming council meeting. We are going to go in the order of the agenda as it is outlined for today. And I would remind everybody that we are in a public session, not for deliberation, but you feel free to ask questions of one another for clarification about agenda items. Chair Hillis, Public Safety.
Hey, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes. You want to kick us off?
What's that?
You want to kick us off?
Yep. So PSLA agenda For some unknown reason, we had a member abstain from the consent agenda instead of pulling whatever item of concern off and either holding it or abstaining from it alone. But we did, Miss Lindo did speak with Amber Robinson in law, and there's no legal requirement for me to go through and sound all of these, so I will not be doing so. So we'll just take those, we'll take first the favorable claims on unanimous consent. I think we'll have to vote for those, but unless there's some objection, we'll take them as a block. And then same with the unfavorable claims, 43 items. We'll adverse those as a block. And then I have one resolution that I abstained for so I can get some more information from procurement and APD. We've received that information, so there shouldn't be any problems with that. And that completes PSLA's report. Any questions?
Just one from me. I know that there was a condition on the Public Safety Task Force legislation. Have those conditions been met so that can be discussed today?
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. I skipped over that one. It was approved on condition that we give all council members an opportunity to review the subgroups for each quadrant of the city. And my understanding is there's an amended version that's going to be emailed to everyone. And unless I've missed something, I haven't seen that yet.
Mr. President, this is Alex. Well, may I ask a question to the chair?
Go ahead. Yes.
So, Chairman Hillis, do you know if I know that when I in a committee, there were still 3 outstanding regional work commissions that had to be, the composition had to be formed. Do you know if Karine received those? Oh, I see Karine's hand now.
Yeah, Karine, can you advise on both the amendment that's going to be sent out and Councilmember Wan's question?
Yes, good morning, council members. I received a final recommendation last night, and all the recommendations I received were regarding the southwest quadrant. I have not received input on any other. So I will update the membership for that as recommended and send that out to everyone very shortly.
So to clarify, you did not get any changes on west or south, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. I'll see if I can help shuffle those along as well, since I was the instigator of all this. So, all right. Thank you for the clarification.
Any other questions on PSLA?
All right. Hearing none. Thank you, Chair Hillis.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Chair Shook, Utilities.
Okay, unmuted. Yeah, we have 2 items. The first is an ordinance 220-1027, also a companion paper 22R3118. These both deal with the funding and contract provisions regarding watershed management's small meter program. The ordinance did have a nay vote, and there were a lot of questions around how long is it taking, what's the wait, let's hear about your disadvantaged and NBE, program performance metrics, and things of that nature. Those questions also repeated themselves during a discussion of the resolution, to the extent where the committee agreed to move forward on condition of receiving information that would hopefully satisfy the answers to both papers. Watershed Management subsequently distributed a multi-page memo. It goes into, historical detail, the importance of the program, how these contracts have been procured, performance metrics, NB and disadvantaged participation results. So hopefully members will have the opportunity between now and the Utilities Committee to pluck those from their inboxes and peruse them. Those are our only two papers.
Thank you. Any questions? All right. Thank you. Chair Dozier, CDHS.
Honestly, we don't have much on our report this week. We just have one communication item, 22-C-50 or 5010. That's a communication from Daniel Hampton, Chair of the Auditing Committee for the Performance Audit Report for Building and Zoning Enforcement. There's a lot of discussion and questions around that, specifically around their recommendation tied to combining our code enforcement agencies into one entity, either with police or with the Department of Planning. But combining those to address some of the challenges that were brought up. But that's really all I have, just that one communication.
Okay, any questions? If none, thank you. Chair Faroki, Transportation.
We have no report today, Council President.
Okay. Juan.
I have a question.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
This is Councilmember Overstreet. I want to know if I have an item that's on transportation that's on a consent agenda, when is the best time to motion for post haste on that?
I don't know if you're asking me, Council or Chair Overstreet. It's probably a question for the parliamentarian, or Howard Shook, who is the king of post haste.
Yeah. So I just want to know from anyone that knows, because I just don't, and I want to make sure that I do not miss that opportunity.
It's immediately after the consent agenda is adopted.
Okay. Sounds good. Faroki, so that I don't have to pluck and pull and all of that, can you email me the number that I'm looking for? It's the one about the Moramata accountability legislation.
For your paper, yeah. We'll dig it up.
Text me the item number, page, or whatever I need for post haste.
Will do.
Thank you.
Mr. President, this is Forrest Webb. If I could interject here.
Go ahead, please.
Chairwoman Overstreet, in this virtual environment, when we post haste, when there's a motion to send legislation post haste, we don't currently have the ability to send it during the council meeting as we did previously when we were in person. In essence, what it does, it instructs the staff to send it immediately following the meeting, which we will do. And the post haste motion subsequently eliminates any other further consideration of said piece of legislation. So, having said all of that, you can advise me without making those motions, or any council member can advise me without making those motions, and I'll subsequently send the said piece of legislation immediately following the council meeting. But I didn't want to miss the opportunity and have the council misled into thinking that at the time that the paper is voted on to send post haste, that it's going immediately. We don't have the ability to do it so electronically.
Okay. And I absolutely understand that. I remember those words. But we'll still be doing it post haste today. It's a matter of formality and just a matter of record. It needs to be spoken.
Duly noted.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for transportation? Okay, hearing none. Chair Wan, Finance Exec.
Yeah, Chairperson Faroki, I always thought Chairman Shook was the king of calling the question. I didn't realize he had gotten another sash during the last 4 years, so we'll have to wrestle
wears
that.
many crowns.
Yeah.
That's Michael, but I appreciate the product placement.
All right, so colleagues, I have 2 papers before us today. They're related. They have to do with the Atlanta Jazz Festival. We're going to file one that was submitted first in replacing it with a personal paper from Councilwoman Overstreet. There was some supplemental information that was sent out to all council members. There was requested information around historical performance. I would just, the dollar amount being proposed this year is $400,000. It's coming from the non-departmental account. I would invite everybody to kind of take a look at what was sent in terms of the level of city support over the last 6 or 7 years, just so you can see some trends and what's been happening. There is a condition as well, and that was to insert language that specifically mentions that these funds were originally earmarked for the Peach Drop, which was canceled. So I will need to bring that substitute forward during our meeting, so that language will be incorporated. But other than that, those are the 2 pieces of paper I have before us today. Does anyone have any questions for me on that? If not, before I move on, though, I will say Council Member Shook and I, our 2 committees, City Utilities and Finance Exec, just be on the lookout. We are going to be holding a work session on the solid waste fee proposal. So just be on the lookout there. There's a lot of background information, historical information of how we got to where we are today and why we have to revisit it, as well as the discussion about various alternatives going forward. So I believe that paper is being introduced today during as a personal paper, and so that starts the whole process. And I think we're working on dates right now for that session. Mr. Shook, is there anything else I should add or we should add on that? Okay. That's all I got. Thanks.
Thank you. Chair Boone, Committee on Council.
Good morning, Mr. President. Thank you so much. This morning we will be reviewing communications, 3 communications regarding various appointees to the APAB board. Also 1 communication from Districts 5, 6, and Post 2 regarding a ZRB appointee. We also will be reviewing our goals and objectives. There will be a resolution introduced regarding redistricting. We also will be dealing with the ARC appointment, which will go forward with no recommendations since we do have 2 candidates. We also have our defined benefit pension plan appointees. We have 3 appointees, 3 seats on that, and that will be all we will be covering today.
Thank you. Any questions?
Yes, sir. I can't hear you.
That's because I was muted.
I can hear you now.
So what procedurally does this committee or council need to do to, churn forward, to get the council staff in order?
We met with the HR commissioner on a couple of weeks ago. Right now, Ms. Santana KEMPSON-WRIGHT will be interim director of the council staff, and subsequently we will be talking with her and the 3 of us, which is the council president, chair of finance, myself, will be dealing with an HR issue on that, and we will have an update on that in the next 2 weeks. But we will be opening that position up for other applicants.
Okay, so we don't need to your committee does not need to take action today, is that correct?
Correct.
No action is needed, according to the HR department.
Okay, and will there be a change in interim salary as well?
Yes, it will be. And
without action being required?
Correct. Absolutely. It will be within range according to the HR commissioner. He is heavily involved.
That's very helpful. Thank you. And then as regards redistricting, when will we receive, when will the fire hose of information be open so that
you should have received an email last night from our clerk, Forrest Webb, detailing every step. And today is actually the beginning with this resolution. But please, everyone, check your emails so that you can keep up with the various steps in this process.
Well, but do we have the data?
Yes, we do.
Okay. And that's been sent?
Yes.
Thank you.
You are welcome. That concludes my report, Mr. President.
Mr. President, Madam Chair, this is Alex Vaughn. I have a question as well.
Go ahead, please.
Regarding the election or appointments that you mentioned, how are we doing the voting since we're all remote? This is new to me, so it used to be you just walked out, we'd have pieces of paper on council floor.
I will turn that over to Mr. Forrest Webb. He has a detailed plan on that. Clerk.
Yes, what we will do at the beginning of the meeting, everyone will receive a electronic ballot, and subsequently you can select one of the two individuals that's been nominated and return it to the clerk's office. It should be a fairly simple process, and then we'll do the tabulation. And at the time of the committee report, which is the second to the last report, hopefully we'll have all ballots in, and the individual receiving the most votes will be announced at that time. What I would respectfully request is at the beginning of the meeting, if there could be a formal announcement to just remind the members to check their emails, to complete their ballot and send their ballot back. With the ballot will have instructions as well.
Mr. Clerk, does the final legislation include those ballots like they used to, or has that changed?
We include the ballots for validation of the votes that have been selected.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you. Chair Overstreet, zoning.
Thank you, President Shipman. So my zoning papers are extensive. It's quite a few of them. I think it's 17. And I am ready for them. It's nothing that's standing out as controversial in any way. So if anyone has any questions about them, but Ms. Lindo and I have already, she's already prepared them for me, and I've looked over them, and I'm ready to go with those. Anyone have any questions? So, and neither do I.
Thank you. Ms. KEMPSON-WRIGHT, just quickly before we adjourn, wanted to see if you had any announcements regarding new staff members.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Thank you, President Shipman. We welcome 2 new members to the Legislative Research and Policy Analysis team on last Thursday. Both Miltresa McMichael and Jared Evans. Jared actually is a return employee. He most recently was with the department in September of last year. And he is coming to us by way of the auditor's office, where he served as a senior performance auditor. He previously worked for the state. Ms. Miltresa McMichael is a attorney from the municipal courts. She has previously worked in the Department of City Planning and Watershed Management, as well as for DeKalb County. So we have welcomed them to our team.
Thank you. We're excited to have you join as colleagues. Any other announcements or items before we adjourn?
This Councilmember Hillis.
Yeah, go ahead.
I guess this question's for Santana. Do we know any of the changes that might come about with the new employees coming on as far as who's staffing which committees? Will there be changes?
Yes, sir. Mr. Hillis, in an effort to not have several changes throughout the year, especially at the beginning, currently everyone will remain as they are. Jared Evans will be training with Corinne Lindo on zoning and community development and human services. And we look forward to him being able to take over that committee when we return from recess in April. Miltresa will be working with myself and Ms. Lindo for public safety and city utilities to take over those as well at the start or the end of April. And Ms. Lindo will work with me beginning in April to assume the responsibilities of finance executive after the budget.
Sounds great. Thanks for those updates.
You're welcome.
Mr. President, this is Alex Wan again. I just want to ask my colleagues, is anyone aware of any papers that people are bringing forward for immediate consideration today that we should have on our radars? Okay, good.
Shook with a question. Is there an update on the cause of all the congestion around City Hall earlier today?
President Shipman, if I could interject.
Go ahead.
I was going to bring to all of the members' attention, there's been a report that there's a suspicious package at the Fulton County Courthouse for those individuals that may be at City Hall right now.
That's ongoing.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Any other items? All right. Thank you all. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. I'm going to tell Boone I'm on the way to her office.
Okay.
But that's
Look
it.
forward to seeing you. I'm here.
All right. Thank you all. We'll see everyone virtually at the meeting at 1 o'clock.
Thank you.
We're adjourned.